My name's Gary Conley. I'm the head coach here at the University of Kentucky. I've been a head coach here for about 20 years. Was a member of the 72 Olympic team, swum with people like Mark Spitz and Gary Hall. So I've got a little bit of a background in swimming, and I got to say that this new endless pool that we've got is probably the biggest step forward in swimming technology that's come along in a long time.
Most swim teachers spend their time walking back and forth along the deck and giving instruction. Well, we're missing a lot because we don't really see exactly what's going on under the water. Communication between the coach and the athlete, it's in every other sport, and now it's coming to swimming.
Initially, I was a skeptic, when you see these things in magazines and stuff like that, and as a swimmer used to swimming, 50-meter pools and stuff, it's hard to imagine that it can really be very beneficial. And the first time a little light went off on my head was I saw one on another pool deck, and the coach that I was talking to said, well, it's great because you're right next to the swimmer, you're within 3 feet of them, they can hear you talk to them. I was sold then. I said, this is a great idea, I need to do this. What really sold me on it was when I got in and swam in it for the first time myself. It's not a little wind-up toy, it's a pretty serious piece of equipment.
I think I was first introduced to endless pools, it would have to be around 1997, 1998. I quickly discovered that from a teaching standpoint, it was the best environment that I ever had. I had so much success and so much fun teaching in the standard endless pool. If there was one thing that was just a little bit lacking, it was for swimmers like myself years ago, but some of the people that I like to work with. There are certain unique physiological traits that great athletes have. Deeper pulls, wider pulls, and in order to find the technique that works for them, you need a little bit larger palette, and the elite pool presents that.
Your line, ideally, is supposed to be straight. You're just supposed to rotate on your line, but my legs were like over here when I was breathing this way, so I was kind of off and I didn't realize it, so you can correct yourself quite easily. You get the feedback of the water going by your body, that's essential for practicing for a race. Really gave me a good idea of where my arms are, like where they enter, and just like what I was doing wrong. But I'd never really actually got to see myself like in a video and then like talk about it. So this is really cool. This is great.
One of the great attractions is that you have a coach one-on-one with a swimmer. When you're in the big pool, everybody's going at the same time. Sometimes you can't get to the kid to tell them what it is you want to tell them because they're off on the other wall or something like that. The intimacy of the pool, just being that close to the athlete, just makes it, a tremendous tool in the arsenal of coaching. To be able to be right there with the athlete and have instant feedback for them is fabulous. Where all coaches see their strokes fall apart is when the swimmer comes up to race speed. The endless pool, you slow it down when you're really working on being precise about the stroke corrections and stuff, and as they get that at the lower level speeds, then you want to step it up. They don't really have much choice. They've got to come up to that race speed because the water's moving that fast, so you're going to get to see right away if the corrections are taking place. We can actually find the point where they're going to break down. So that's a real nice thing, and then once they break down, then we can back down the speed, and then we can get the stroke back together and go back up. As far as coaching on stroke, this is about as good as it gets.
When you're swimming fast, you're completely surrounded by this water that carries the momentum that you want to work with. We're really looking at the elite pool, being able to replicate almost all events in the college program, even at the Division I level of swimming.
The nice thing about the endless pool is if you don't like the angle you've got, then you're just going to move the camera lens over a little bit more to the left or the right, or put it in the corner of the pool so you can get the thing that you're really focused on. And I really like the aspect that there's not just one camera. You can have multiple cameras because it's right there and you can play it back instantaneously. They can see it immediately. So it's much easier for them to connect the feel with what they really want in the correction of the stroke.
The number of tools that are available for the endless pool really create one of the most high-tech swimming environments that you can imagine.
Yeah, I'm slipping right with my right arm.
See that?
Yeah.
And as you go faster, it gets more ridiculous, which is what happens when you race.
I'm like doing that.
With the underwater cameras and the computer system, you're able to record them and allow the swimmer to see it virtually immediately. You're really able to see everything because it's right there in front of you.
It's basically the same idea as videotaping a runner on a treadmill. They're always going to be right there, they're always going to be in focus. I've always liked mirrors in pools, but what I really like about the mirrors in the endless pool is you've got the flat ones, so you've got that look down, but the angled mirror in front of you is really nice, so you get a much better read on what the front end of your stroke looks like. Or another way to say it is you know what you look like when you're swimming towards someone. I think there's a lot of value just to climbing in the pool and swimming in it by yourself. It's instantaneous, You say, well, it looks like my hand's too far outside my body, I'll try to bring it in. You see it and you feel it all at the same time. Looking down in the mirrors is going to really give you a pretty good idea of what you need to do to correct your stroke.
The underwater mirrors, or the mirrors on the floor of the endless pool, allow the swimmer to watch pole pattern, head position, body rotation, alignment, all kinds of different little techniques while they're swimming. I've never seen the mirror above the pool before. While you're swimming in one place, you can make actual changes to where your hands enter, how much you rotate, what your head position is, where your hips are. You can see it while you're doing it.
It was really fun. There's mirrors everywhere where you can look so you can see what you're doing wrong with your stroke and fix it so it can get better, and then you can be faster.
When you're talking to non-swimmers, they don't really understand it. You start talking about flumes and stuff like that, they don't really get that. But if you look at like recruiting wars, I think a recruit comes in and sees that and they say, hey, these guys are pretty serious about it. Especially if they go over and see how the thing works, because it's an impressive piece of technology. I think you're just going to get better recruits because the recruits think, hey, these guys are pretty serious. Look at this equipment they've got. More critically, the kids that you get into that are going to produce better strokes and are consequently going to be faster swimmers.
The Endless Pool Elite really starts to open up the opportunity for coaches and swimmers to really have this controlled environment at a much higher level. As someone that's spent a lot of time in regular pools as well as standard endless pool and now the Elite endless pool, what I've learned is that there's things that the endless pool shows me that a regular pool doesn't. It's something that really any team can put together to get a tremendous amount of feedback that you simply couldn't get in any other way.
The kids are real sold on it. It makes the workouts much more interesting for the athletes. There's nothing they like better than to get into that thing and actually see their stroke and work with a coach one-on-one in that instead of the scenario of a practice where there's 50 people in 18 lanes. It's much easier for them to get it and understand it. This is probably the smartest thing I've ever bought as a swim coach.